All right, so when it comes to real estate, one of the most searched phrases on Google right now is, when is the market going to crash? This is something that so many people are worried about, and so many people are not actually pulling the trigger on purchasing a home right now because they're concerned of this major market crash similar to the one that we had in 2008. So in today's video, I'm actually going to tell you on why I don't think the market's going to crash, and it's actually going to do the opposite and continue to be strong and appreciate in value for the foreseeable future. Hey, my name is Robert Khabbaz with eXp Realty. I help buyers and sellers either buy their dream home or find their current home. I also help realtors explode their business and grow their personal brands. So today I'm going to give you 4 main bullet points on why I actually think the market is going to increase and appreciate rather than go down and crash like a lot of people think is going to happen. So the first point I have is people are actually making more money. Back in 2005, 2006, wages were still really low and rates were really high. So rates were above 6%. If you wanted to buy a house, you're going to pay 6% interest or even more. And wages were low. So when you have that equation, that's just recipe for disaster. Now, prices of homes were about the same as they are now. They were actually still a little bit higher back in the mid 2000s. But so price of homes is not really the issue here. Price of homes is still high, but people are actually making more money, and the rates were about half of what they were back in the mid 2000s. Number 2, it is still hard to get a loan. Back in the early 2000s, it was basically the easiest process ever to get a loan to buy a house. You would walk in, there was this big joke, it was called stated income. You would walk into a bank, talk to a loan officer, and you would basically just state your income. Like, hey, John, I make $800,000 a year. John would be like, oh, perfect. There'd be no verification. They would then just approve you for a $2 million house, and you could just go buy a $2 million house on a stated income. So now it's much harder to get a loan. You have to get pre-approved. You have to go through an application process, a credit check. Your debt to income still has to be a certain percentage. They're going through your bank accounts. They're making sure you don't have shady deposits of just random cash, coming from somewhere. So they are making sure that the buyer is still very qualified and will be able to pay back this loan when they give it to them. It's like I said, it's not like the early 2000s. They were just handing out money left and right to people that could not afford the house or did not have any intention to pay the loan back. And that's what ended up ultimately resulting in the housing crisis and the big crash of 2008, 2009. Bullet point number 3, there are no foreclosures. Right now, people are actually equity rich in their homes, meaning that they have a certain percentage of ownership in the home that they could pull out money if they needed to do so. With the prior crash, people would use their home kind of like an ATM machine. Like anytime they wanted to go on a vacation, they would just pull money or equity out of their home. Anytime they needed to do a remodel, anytime they wanted to go buy a fancy new car or something that wasn't an actual investment or wasn't going to make any more money, they would actually pull money out, like I said, to use it almost like a credit card or an ATM and use that money for kind of stupid things. And so the long of it is that now people are actually just being much smarter with the way they use their equity in their home. They're using it to buy investment property. They're using it to do actual upgrades to the house to try to increase the value. They're not taking a $50,000 vacation in Hawaii on their home's dime. So that was just another reason why the crash happened. The numbers were all inflated and people were just using all of the equity in their homes. So bullet point number 4 on why I do not think the market's going to crash anytime soon, and this might be the most important one of them all, is inventory. The inventory of homes right now is the lowest it's ever been in the history of the world, I think. It's absolutely nuts. There's like a 1.8 month supply of homes on the market, and now when you compare that back to what happened in the mid 2000s again, inventory was almost at an all-time high back then. So there was just a surplus of homes on the market. All the prices were inflated. Everybody was borrowing money that couldn't afford to pay it back, and you had this big recipe for disaster. I know I keep saying that, but there was just this massive recipe for disaster, and that's what happened. It was a disaster. When you look at right now, and the lending is still strict, and inventory is nothing like it was before, prices are rising because there is just a healthy demand for home ownership right now. So just to recap one more time, these are the 4 main points of why I think the market is not going to crash anytime soon. It's going to keep increasing for the foreseeable future. Number 1, people are making more money than they ever have. Number 2, it is still very difficult to get a loan. People are being vetted by banks and financial institutions, and they're still making sure that these people that we give money to, they can pay pay the loan back. Number 3, there really aren't any foreclosures right now. We went through a small period of time during the pandemic where we had a bunch of people in forbearance, but since then there's only, I think there's less than 800,000 people still in the forbearance program, which is way less than it was. People have actually paid their way out and gotten back to even with their homes, so they're actually out of the forbearance program. There's just no foreclosures right now, and when you compare that to, once again, what was happening back then, where there was tons of foreclosures, it's a big difference. And number 4, inventory is at an all-time low, 1.8 month supply. There's just no homes on the market, which is increasing home ownership demand, which is just driving the price of everything up. So once again, thanks for checking out the video. If you enjoyed the content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you look out for the next video.